major life moves. He's now at Zapperify. Really excited to hear what he's been cooking up recently. So, DeFi Dad, if you're ready, take it away.
Matthew, hey, how are you guys doing? Can you hear me okay?
Yep, you're coming through great.
Oh, perfect. So gosh, everyone's been so great speaking here today. I feel like I learned a lot. Everyone, I'm DeFi Dad. I work at Zapper. Zapper is it's one of the best places to visualize your DeFi portfolio. You can also zap into all sorts of different DeFi liquidity provisions and different automated yield farming, which is commonly called a Y vault. So anyways, it's a place where you can invest. It's a place where you can track your portfolio. And it's also a place where you can trade. We have a Uniswap style exchange there that is a DEX aggregator that pulls from Uniswap and all the other liquidity pools. So, okay, pitch done on Zapperify. So I have struggled with this question of like, where's the intersection of NFTs and DeFi? Just because it's all one thing to me at this point. I am recognizing that DeFi teams are looking to NFTs to solve problems. Teams that work with NFTs are looking at DeFi to solve problems. And there's countless examples of this. Over the past week, some of the things that are top of mind for me in DeFi are insurance. There's a lot of talk about making it possible to buy an insurance policy in DeFi, or it's insurance normally against a smart contract bug. There's nowhere for you to resell it. And if you make an NFT out of those policies, then you can actually go resell those through something like Bearable or OpenSea. There's a lot of work being done on options. Currently, options has become a really popular money Lego on Ethereum, but the thing about an option, if anyone's ever bought a put or a call option, you can sell them. So like you can buy it and then choose to sell it because they've gone up in price. And when you look at what we have in DeFi, we're not able to do that. And that's partially to do with the fact that we actually need to use NFTs to power those on-chain options. Another example that is top of mind from today, I spoke with Stani Kulichov, who's the founder CEO of Aave. I just had him on Yield TV, and he was talking about the mission behind an Aave or like a compound is that they are trying to enable you to take the wealth that you own and be able to borrow against it. You shouldn't have to, let's say if you're holding a Google stock or whatever stock, it's next to impossible for most of us to be able to borrow against that value. Now, really rich people are able to do that. If you're a high net worth client in the financial services industry, you are able to take all sorts of different assets and you can borrow against it. Now, it'll take lots of paperwork and lots of middlemen to work through, but in DeFi, it's as simple as, I deposited some Ether, some wrapped Bitcoin, some Wi-Fi, and let's say some Aave token. And let's pretend that the net worth of it is $10,000. I can borrow against that, and I can do it instantly. That's really powerful, and that's part of more of the DeFi mission. But where NFTs come into place is, I think about all the value that's being created right now with NFTs, and the fact that someone could not, put up that value and have a lender allow them then to have a credit line against that, it just makes no sense. Like, we're trending towards the ability to put a value on everything digitally, and then to be able to, be more efficient with our capital in terms of that value. So I think like my main takeaway after like thinking hard on this the past week, and like I'm like, what the hell am I going to say during the WIP? I think we're at a point in the history of DeFi and NFTs and everything else that's being like built on Ethereum and all the cool stuff that Dapper Labs is doing with the Flow blockchain. We're at a point in time where there just aren't enough resale markets yet available. It's incredible what OpenSea has built. It's incredible what Rarible's done and others like them. But think about like how limited we are. Now, when you juxtapose that against the real world, the meat space world, you know, you can sell anything anywhere. I mean, you basically at this point can go on Facebook and there's these huge Facebook markets that are flourishing across all parts of the world that have access to Facebook. And so it feels like we are just playing catch up at this point. We are so much more effective at transferring value in the digital space and making that value censorship resistant. But at the same time, we are still building, I think it was Roham was saying it, just there's so much software that's still being built. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited for someone to be able to take the collection of NFTs that they've built that have accrued value over time. And I think that person should be able to easily borrow against that value without actually selling it. You should be able to continue to accrue value without having to actually short the asset that you're holding. Okay, I'll pause there, Matthew. Any follow-up questions to that? Hopefully bring some dots together in the space.
No, yeah, I mean, that's the whole reason why we wanted to put you at the end of this. We knew that you would hear what all the other speakers are talking about, synthesize it with your own thoughts, and kind of bring things together. So mission accomplished on that front. But we do have a couple questions to kind of wrap up this asynchronous panel that we're trying to talk about, the intersection of NFTs and DeFi. And the first question that I had for you is, it's sort of piggybacking on what you were talking about, but like, what do you wish there was more of right now in DeFi? And then atop of that wish, or related to it, like, do you see any green shoots of scalability or dependability breaking out in the DeFi space?
That's a good one. What do I wish I could see more of in DeFi? One of the things that everyone talks about is, of course, fiat on-ramps and off-ramps. It's something that all of us can't escape. Like, we still have to maintain a relationship with a centralized exchange. I think the thing that just coincidentally being here at the WIP that I'm excited about is I have never stopped buying into Andrew Steinwald's thesis that, that NFTs are going to be the ultimate killer use case where we see the most mainstream adoption in the shortest amount of time. I think that he's just right, that you shouldn't have to explain all of the different financial mechanisms that someone has to learn about when they're using different DeFi applications. So in DeFi, I'd say like the killer use case that gets me the most excited is lending, because when you have an asset and that asset is something you want to continue to hold because you believe it will accrue value over time, the ability to lend it and to know that what's happening there is over collateralized borrowing. So people are putting up more money than what they're actually borrowing, and you can depend on smart contracts to liquidate them if they don't maintain their loan. That is still the most outrageous thing. Like, I will never forget when I first realized that all of the US dollars that I would keep in, let's say, a bank account, I'm like, I could really put this to use in DeFi, and I would argue that the risk is low just because I'm using a compound, which is well audited. So anyways, going back to it's lending in DeFi that I think has the most promise still. I think the average person hearing that they can earn 10%, 20%, which 20% is kind of extreme, but still 10% is a lot to earn. And keep in mind, when you are lending an asset in DeFi, in most cases, you are being paid in whatever that token is. So if someone is holding a token that they think is like digital gold or that they think can accrue value, they are earning more of it. It's like lending Google stock and earning more Google stock, which is not something that at least I'm accustomed to doing. I don't know of anyone who has a bank that will let them do that. But I am excited for, like, Axie Infinity is definitely one of the most like insane companies to watch, because their growth demonstrates that you don't have to give away an inflationary token. Like, they just have continued to grow and grow and grow, but it's because people have so much fun playing the game. And then at this point, you can actually get paid to play the game. And then you look at like the Top Shot from Dapper Labs. Like, those are examples to me of taking the technology in our space that is so powerful and getting out of the ivory tower and stopping the rants that people go on, like I am right now on podcasts, about all the cool shit that hopefully we can do. Stop talking about it and just show people. That is what gets people to adopt this technology. That's what gets people to use NFTs and to use DeFi. And like, I think my kids one day, I'm confident that when they play video games, they're 4 and 2 right now, but when they get older, I think they're going to be able to, move their weapons across different games very easily, and they won't even understand the concept of like me having put in like a game cartridge for like Nintendo 64 back in the day. It's all going to be interoperable, interchangeable, and God knows they'll probably be playing it in the metaverse. I talked about it like they were going to play it on a TV. I'm sure every game that we play will end up being in the metaverse.
Totally. I mean, just double clicking on what you're talking about, biasing for doing and showing more than talking, 100% at this point. The more that we can show people what's possible, I mean, that's the most powerful, right?
That's why this community is special. I think that the reason there's 200 people in here today, and I remember when I was starting to show up, there was maybe like about 50 tops, and I remember you guys saying like, this is a huge crowd compared to where we were. It's because it's so visual. You get into crypto voxels and you get to see the art. You don't talk about the rarity of these art pieces. At the end of the day, like, art is art. You want to be able to like look at something and find it to be beautiful, and really, like, not to compare DeFi with that sort of art, but there is something beautiful about recognizing that you suddenly are 100% in control of your funds, and that the money you have can actually earn you more, because all you have to do is lend it in DeFi and you can earn. And you don't have to lend it to some degen project. Like, the stuff that made all the headlines in the summer, that's not the stuff that to me is like what is sustainable and long-term thinking in DeFi. It's really these projects like Aave and Compound. And those, just to finish this off then, I know that those projects are thinking about NFTs. I talked with Stani today, and during our conversation, he had said that personal tokens, NFTs, like, those are markets that they can foresee coming in Aave. So that's good for this community, because right now you shouldn't have to go sell your assets in one or a few places. There should be more liquidity, and the more liquidity, the more price discovery that can happen. And I mean, frankly, I think in this space, like, it's just, the markets are so reflexive. Like, I can't imagine how much upside is in some of the NFTs that are being created and collected.
And actually, that point fleshes nicely with this last question that I wanted to ask you about NFTs and DeFi to kind of wrap up this asynchronous panel. But it definitely seems like NFTs and DeFi are going to be together more and more heading into the future. But I'm curious, from your perspective in DeFi, like, what sort of utility do you think NFTs need to kind of bring to the table within DeFi to remain relevant when the projects themselves incorporate NFTs?
I think that DeFi projects are so hungry at this point to add value and to offer something new that you can't find elsewhere. I'm not sure if NFTs need to do anything at this point. Like, I think that when you consider, okay, NFTs in the metaverse are interesting because it's mirroring the physical world where, we all own certain things and those things are scarce and those things belong to us and they're unique. And so that, of course, blows all of our minds when you get into the metaverse and you're like, wow, like this, you never thought about that concept until you're in the metaverse. And then you're like, wow, owning a digital piece of art owning a piece of art, I should even call it a digital piece of art, owning a piece of art in the metaverse, it's much more special to me, I think, than I would actually rather own it there than own it in the physical world. In DeFi, I think the goal is very similar, that it's the idea that you should be able to do anything you want that you could have done in the physical meat space world. But what's odd for the financial services is that the financial services, because of regulation, are so archaic. They're I'm not going to pretend like they don't work, but they clearly don't work for everyone. And so at this point, I think, like, when you look at even the recent U.S. election, and you have like candidates like Andrew Yang was very forward thinking. He's a very like bullish person on the crypto space. I feel like it's just a matter of time before we start to see more and more people in the mainstream talking about the fact that you should be able to do what you want with your money when you want. And so, anyways, I guess to like wrap this all up, I think that DeFi and NFTs are kind of like merging into one another. Like, I don't think that NFTs are going to have to, there's not going to have to be any work in this space, like, other than the work that would be done to continue to make, gaming that much more fun and make the art world that much more exciting. The DeFi space needs to be able to harness the power of an NFT, because at the end of the day, not everything is an ERC20 token. There is a rarity and a scarcity to other assets in the financial world, and I think that's what DeFi is moving towards. We need to, again, reflect the freedom and the liberty to do what you want when you want in the decentralized finance world, just like you hopefully would be able to do in the physical world.
There you go. Beautifully put, DeFi Dad. I just want to thank you for taking the time, man, to come back again. You're one of our most, the guest with the most appearances, I think, right now at this point.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, thanks so much. I feel like I just did like a poor man's Naval Ravikant there. So they're like, I think he repeated a few of the sentences, but then he just kept rambling. Okay, yeah, that's the... No, seriously, thanks for having me back, and just congrats on the Meta Olympics too. Such a cool thing there, and for anyone who ever wants to talk about the cool stuff that you're building, please contact me on Twitter. You can just send me a direct message, or if you can't get a hold of me there for some reason, on Telegram, it's at @DeFi_Dad. And anyways, I'd love to have more folks on Yield TV, which is it's like a daily DeFi Ethereum live stream that also has done actually quite a few shows on NFTs. And anyways, we just try to showcase really interesting founders, builders, and enthusiasts in the space.
Totally. I'm looking forward to hopping on Yield TV after the holidays too. So definitely.
Right. Yeah, we'll look forward to that, Matthew. Yeah, December 6th. So, but thanks so much, everyone.
Cool. And then before we head over to the Meta Olympic compound, just want to check in with Rizzle, see if there's any updates before we take everyone over to the course and start this crazy shrimp race.
All right. I think I figured out the bot.